Let's move down to the next step, which is resources in each appointment. This is where you set up where you tell the system what is required to be free in the calendar in order to host one of these appointments. So I'll start out with my financial planning, and I'll say for my 101 session, and it's going to tell you here in a yellow pop-up that there's nothing selected in the resources line, so I'll click the plus button there. And the first thing I'm going to select is I can either select, like a room or an advisor. First thing I'm going to do is my person. So I'll say advisor, and I'll say first available. Now I've seen lots of examples where first time admins for Appointiv think that they need to go and they say, okay, well, I know Marcus can do that one. Let me do it again. Advisor, I know, okay, Marcus can do it. Okay, Jason can also do it, and I also need a room. So that looks pretty good. It's going to be either Jason or Marcus and a room. Now that's totally wrong. So again, apologies. We're going to be working on our UI to make it more straightforward and logical. But that is not going to work for you. So what this actually says is that this needs both of these people and this room. So everything in this list is and. So it needs Marcus and Jason and a room, which is fine. That is totally fine. You can actually set it up so that you have multiple people in there. And if you do set it up so that you have multiple people in there, we have this thing called primary on web form. And that's actually going to say, let's say Marcus was the main CPA or the main advisor, and I'm his assistant. But really, the customer kind of just knows that they're booking with Marcus, so they would just see Marcus's name listed on this appointment, and that's what this comes into. So that's one way to do it. If that's what you really intend is for everybody on this list to be there, then that's fine. I'm actually going to take this off because we really just want one person, and I'm going to show you another thing too, which is where we don't want to just have it selected for Marcus. I want to have it for first available. So either of those two people who have the skill, which we determined earlier, to do this type of appointment are going to be available. So I've got whichever advisor is first available and a room, and I'm going to save that. I'll do another one just to make sure that everybody's following along. Let me just click the plus, and I really, at the very minimum, I need to at least have an advisor first available, because you can't do the appointments without a person in there. So I'll go through and set up some of the other ones. But again, it's all about just clicking on at least a person, save it in there, and if it's a specific person, if like only, if the let's say the annual tax planning meeting, only Marcus can do it, then I might just say save it to Marcus. But when they go into the web form, your customers are only going to see Marcus's times, whereas if it's set to first available, they'll see a mixture of both mine or both the Jason advisor and the Marcus advisor as options to choose from. Hope that makes sense. Oh, hang on a sec. I just remembered something else I should show you. And mine on here is that if you recall from the resources tab, that these non-human resources were aligned with different locations. So you want to make sure that if you are doing a planning one-on-one session that requires rooms and you've got it in multiple locations, you want to make sure that there are rooms in those locations that they can actually be filled. Otherwise you might not see that. And so this gets a bit tricky sometimes. You might find that your appointments aren't appearing on the web form, and that's because we try not to let anybody get to a dead end. So if we already know that there's not going to be an appointment appearing, it just doesn't show up as an option. And that'll be something that it'll trip you up the first time you notice it, until you realize that we just prevent no-shows or dead ends. And so let me go, because of that, I think we'll go and skip a step.